That's where the little girl hangs out. She's often carrying like a baby doll.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh, man.
And so something I should have mentioned off the top is that this land that we're on right now used to be a burial ground. You know, when like tuberculosis and typhoid and all that stuff was ripping through the population, people just had to get bodies into the ground as quick as possible. So they were just digging holes, putting bodies in there, not even really marking them at all. And so you might have seen on your drive in, there's a cemetery kind of at the top of town. That was established in kind of the mid to late 1800s. And they decided to dig up all the bodies that were here and kind of put them in the cemetery. And the story goes that they did a pretty good job, but they probably didn't get all of them.
What's up, MENDZ family? Welcome back to the vlog channel. Hope you guys are enjoying your day today. Today we brought you guys here to the Singing Sand Beach. It's my first time, and yeah, we got the fam over there somewhere, but kind of came to fly my drone, went back to the car to get it. There so happens to be this like really cool cove, kind of, I mean, you can kind of see it here. To be honest, I don't think I've ever been here. Been to PEI a few times, and I think we skipped this one. But yeah, this is a cove I kind of wanted to get. This is absolutely beautiful. And the water's like really blue here. Yeah, the water's like insanely blue here. Damn. So yeah, we got Mikey over there. I mean, Chelsea's probably kind of roaming the beach right now. But I'm gonna fly my drone, see what I got. There she be.
Who?
You.
Oh, me.
Yeah, you.
Me.
So we have a special area we're going to today. What even is that spot? It's like a theater, or like a haunted theater.
King George Theater, and it's in Georgetown, and it's haunted by a Captain George. And it's one of the oldest theaters in Canada, and they actually reserve a seat for the ghost George because he's so active there and so well known that they make him welcome. He likes to watch the shows.
And he like tempers with the lights.
Yeah,
and
he'll temper with the
people,
lights. He'll like poke people, do things to people. But I mean, we'll get a better example of what it is when we're on our tour. But we got special permission to do our own personal tour, just the two of us.
That'll be actually kind of nice to kind of see it in person.
I've never seen it. I've only read stories about the ghost.
Chelsea reached out to them, and we got special permission to get a tour. I have no idea what it even looks like. I've never actually seen photos of it. Yeah, we got special permission to do that, and I'm talking like, from what we read, or from what she's been telling me too, it's a very active spot with paranormal activity.
I jumped off this bridge.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's fun because like, in the summer, the current is so strong that it fully like, you go so fast. You don't have to swim, nothing. You just
Wait,
float.
It takes you out to the ocean?
Yeah, it takes you right out, but usually you grab like one of the last ladders over there and climb back up and do it again.
Will it take you out far?
It takes you out past the deck if you don't stop yourself.
Oh, so people just go to the last ladders there?
Yeah, they go to the last ladder, which is like back over there, and then they hop up and do it again.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did a backflip
Nice.
off of it.
You did a backflip?
Yeah.
How come you've never told me this?
Well, because I can't do backflips anymore. I'm too old now.
Yo, this place is actually really nice.
It's beautiful. It's like we're in our own little ghost town.
I mean, it straight up feels like a ghost town, at least. So you've been here before.
I have.
So
Like 3 years ago.
look at this area though. Has the water always been this blue though?
Always.
Really?
Yeah. This place is called, well, Basin Head, but also Singing Sand Beach.
Yeah.
Because when you put your little toes in there and you like walk, you can hear the sand like, hee.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that
it
no?
sings. I'm not
actually,
even kidding. I'm not kidding.
if you guys have been to Singing Sand Beach, comment down below. I don't know if that's true or if they're like You know, I mean, she told me the title of it, and I'm like pulling up here. I'm like walking down. I'm like, Singing Sand Beach. Like, is that like a real thing, or I don't know? But it's beautiful though. Very blue water, and I mean what the heck is that? You don't see that back in Ontario.
Well, no.
It's like the main reason why we moved out here, to see stuff like that, and I don't know. We love the ocean. Damn.
I'd like to have a picnic here.
You want to have a picnic here?
Yeah.
Wow, this is actually so beautiful. Every single time I pull up to these spots, I like get a very comforting feeling. It's just beautiful being out here. I don't know what it is, but it's just so beautiful being out here. Like, look at this view. Babe, take a second and look. I mean, you've seen it before. You guys take a look at this view. Whew. Look at all the poop over here.
It's weird because it's the seagulls. They come and they pick up their crabs from the ocean and then they come up here and eat them.
So much poop.
Snacks.
No way, there's a crab claw here. Yeah, check this out.
Look behind you, there's some bigger ones.
Are those the bodies of them? Oh, yeah, straight up. Got the bodies, and so the seagulls would just kind of rip them apart, eh?
Yeah, they pick them up and then go to town.
Num 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 num.
Have a full four-course meal. Wow, that was really hard to say.
You have a full 4-course meal over here. Fresh crabs, just like we have fresh lobster, and so that is the plan for today. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, very.
Kind of want to see, you know, how active it is, see what we feel, and
I'm just excited to like hear the history of it, you know?
yeah. I mean, we'll get a full tour of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for you guys. We heard that there was a paranormal team investigating it last night, so maybe sometime we could try and inquire about it, maybe?
I mean, even when I emailed the lady, she was very sweet about it, and like I explained to her what we do for a living, and she said, oh my gosh, like it's the perfect month to come on down. She says, we'll make it work no matter what.
Really?
Yeah, very, very accommodating and sweet.
I mean, we could probably try and book it if it's a possibility. If we can, we will. Easily.
Yeah.
Even if we have to spend another night here. This is just so beautiful, though. Is this so beautiful here? Like, I could probably take a squat there and sit here for the rest of the day.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely my mood right now. Holy smokes, guys.
That scoop bar was open.
Yeah, it's also a really big thing here in PEI. There's ice cream absolutely everywhere. That's what she said, by the way. I don't know. Kind of looks like it was an old town at one point.
No.
Like, were these built, or?
It was built for the beach.
Oh, okay. They kind of look dated, though. I don't know.
My gas light is on.
Yeah. This girl needs to be refueled ASAP right now. She's like, take a look at how slow she's going. Like, she looks like a snail. It's not even noon yet. Or it is actually noon right now. But you've been going like all morning,
I
too.
woke up early, did a photo shoot, didn't have coffee. So
I had a complete different imagination of what this would have looked like.
honestly, same.
Like, I didn't think it was going to be like this big barn. Oh, it looks like a big barn, though.
Look at this beautiful garden that's in around it too.
Wow.
Alright, let's go in.
You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm excited.
That is one wicked building.
Beautiful, actually.
That is actually beautiful. All right, so I did bring my K2 in case we get an opportunity to, you know, try and test some energy levels. I was expecting this to be like an old hotel-ish type thing, but it looks like it was an old, I don't know. I don't even know what it looks like. Like, something like this back in the day would have been maybe a church or a train station. But maybe Chelsea knows what.
It's always been a theater.
It's always been a theater?
It's one of the oldest.
Really? Okay, I missed that part.
It's one of the oldest of its kind in Canada.
Seriously, eh?
Yeah, it's a community theater.
So they actually do play still here?
They do, yeah, still to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Hey.
how's it going?
Good, how are
Good.
you?
Good.
Are you Ben?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, so this is the King's Playhouse, Georgetown, PEI, part of the town of Three Rivers these days. But yeah, it's the second playhouse that's on the site.
Okay.
So the original was built in the late 1800s, and it burned down in 1983. and then within 18 months it was built back. So it was a big community effort to kind of get it back together. It's more or less the same building as it was. It just the original was sort of flipped around a different way, and then the hall behind me was put on in 2010.
Okay.
It was at one point like a community center and sort of like a meeting place and that kind of thing. It still very much is today. But yeah. So, I mean, let's not waste any time.
Let's go.
It's a bit messy because we had a pretty short notice funeral reception in the hall today.
Okay.
And we had to take down all of our Halloween decorations because we didn't want to be disrespectful.
Fair.
So, the stage is kind of a mess.
No worries. Oh,
Here it is.
wow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Jeez, eh?
So, when things are normal, it seats about 280 people.
Wow.
Yeah, it is easily the biggest theater in the eastern part of PEI.
That's so cool.
No question.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear it, right? It's like the perfect kind of acoustic sort of theater thing. It's got great sound projection. The Phoenix up above the stage was put in kind of as a sort of a nod to the rebuild after the fire, so it's sort of rising from the ashes.
Okay.
Oh.
That's a nice meeting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But if you guys want to get a little spooky right now. Yeah, like probably in about the 60s or 70s, maybe a little bit earlier, our technology started kind of going on the fritz a bit. We started getting a few glitches in our sound system, and our lighting board and stuff wasn't quite working, and we weren't really sure what was going on. We brought an electrician in, and he couldn't figure it out either. And then some of the workers were like, well, we've seen this guy walking around. He's pretty pale, got a big beard.
Wait, so the electrician saw this guy?
Well, some of the workers in the theater, but the electrician, I think, too, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so he was dressed as like an old sea captain off of like the Captain Highliner fish sticks or something like that.
Yeah.
Really?
And wasn't making eye contact with anybody, wasn't speaking to anybody, and they kind of thought he might be a ghost.
Wow.
And so they decided to have a little bit of fun. They named him Captain George, looked like a sea captain, Georgetown, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they were sort of like, well, if this ghost is messing with our stuff, maybe we ought to treat him nice. So they decided to reserve a seat for him at the theater for every performance. You see there's a sea captain's hat on the chair. It's roped off so nobody sits in it. And as soon as that chair went up, the story goes that all of our technical issues stopped.
Oh, wow.
So all of the stuff worked well again. And anytime we move the chair, or if anybody sits in the chair, the lights flicker a little bit, and things aren't quite as good as they once were, kind of thing. So
is the chair like always right back here?
pretty much, yeah. There were. I think it used to be over there, and we had to like be like, "Hey George, we're gonna move your chair. Like, don't worry about it. It's not like personal. We just need to get to the panel over there or whatever."
Yeah.
So we put him over here a little more. I think he has a better view over here.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like King's Playhouse has had a lot of really cool people come on the stage. Harry Houdini.
Oh, really?
Really?
The rumor was he got storm stayed in Halifax and then managed to make his way over here while he was waiting for the ice to melt.
Whoa, that's so cool.
So he did his act here apparently once. Sarah Bernhardt was also here, famous French actress, but I have a story about her, but I'll save that for where we will actually run into where she kind of hangs out. And we also had a magician come here a while ago, and I don't know if your cameras are going to be able to pick this up or not, but he was doing a card trick, and he was shuffling the deck, getting it ready to go, and one of the cards flew out at like an angle and at a speed that we were pretty sure that he didn't do it. And it actually got stuck up on the ceiling. I mean, we've got ladders big enough to get up there, right? Because we got to fix the lights every so often, but we kind of figured leave well enough alone. Obviously, whatever it was wants it to be up there. It's not harming anybody. We'll just leave it there. But,
that is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there's an old saying in the theater, right? That it's like every good theater deserves a good ghost. And I think that the King's Playhouse must be like a really darn good theater because we got a really lot of darn good ghosts, right? So, and usually the ghosts are on pretty good behavior when it's like showtime or whatever. But
well, how about you? Have you experienced?
So here's the thing. I personally, when I started working here, I was not a believer in this kind of stuff. I was a big skeptic. But there are just things that, like, you walk into a room and it just feels weird. Like, you don't see anything, you don't feel anything, you don't hear anything, but it just feels weird.
Right.
And I'm gonna take you into a couple of different spots where it's like, I don't like to go there if I don't have to, because it just kind of like gives me the goosebumps a little bit. So I'm slowly changing my mind. I guess you could say. But I definitely have friends in the theater that have seen ghosts before, and it's like there's a big like theater and ghost kind of like synergy where there's a lot of like that kind of stuff goes together really well.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
Yeah. They actually, I think, saw one of the ghosts.
Actually.
She kept talking about, like, they see the little girl, they see the little girl.
Also, there's a girl here, too.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so when we go down to the basement, which will be the grand finale, and you'll see why, that's where the little girl hangs out. She's often carrying, like, a baby doll.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh, man.
And so something I should have mentioned off the top is that this land that we're on right now used to be a burial ground.
Oh, there you have it.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, when like tuberculosis and typhoid and all that stuff was ripping through the population, people just had to get bodies into the ground as quick as possible. So they were just digging holes, putting bodies in there, not even really marking them at all. And so, like in the 1800s, the church made a rule that you had to get buried on like holy ground or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you might have seen on your drive in, there's a cemetery out kind of at the top of town. That was established in kind of the mid to late 1800s, and they decided to dig up all the bodies that were here and kind of put them in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And the story goes that they did a pretty good job, but they probably didn't get all of them.
I mean, also just digging them up will cause energy for them.
Exactly, right? So I think, and there's also, actually, do you guys have time to like go out into the town for a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
I do a haunted walk, so I can kind of show you some of the sites around town.
Yeah, no.
Because there's an island out in the harbor called Poxy Island, which used to be basically the quarantine zone for any ships coming in. And so they would basically just leave these sick people on this island and just like let nature sort itself out.
Whoa.
So there's a lot of like unrest in like the spirituality of this place.
Yeah.
And so like the story goes that all of these ghosts just like walk across the harbor and kind of like go into town and mess around with things.
Seriously,
I would too.
There's a lot of energy in this town, man. Yeah, so this is the dressing rooms, and this is where Sarah Bernhardt kind of hangs out.
Okay.
It's good for the mood anyway. There's no no lights on. But Sarah Bernhardt, she's a famous French actress. Very famously had a wooden leg at one point in her life. And so on like a quiet day, not a whole lot going on, if you're alone in the building, sometimes if you're listening really hard, you can kind of hear like a clunking walking back up and down the dressing room hallway here.
Really?
It's pretty wild, but
crazy energy here.
Yeah.
you can kind of feel it when you walk through. Yeah, it's like a little bit of goosebumps and stuff, but
wow.
Yeah, so we've redone the dressing rooms, but you know, you still kind of get the feeling, right? And yeah,
crazy,
right?
Near too. It's just.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like we get pigeons living in our air conditioners, so even if it's not a ghost, like you're up here, sometimes you just hear weird noises and you're just like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here. Yeah. And then I'll take you around to a couple of my favorite sort of storytelling stops outside. Props and costume room. Not much haunted going on there. Usually, like, we used to do, before COVID, we used to do haunted sleepovers.
Oh, cool.
So, like, we'd have, like, neighborhood kids come over and they'd, like, bring air mattresses and they would just, like, stay up all night and, like, try to scare the crap out of each other, basically.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, like, we've had, like, ghost hunters has been by. There's been a couple of, like, indigenous groups from, like, APTN and, like, the local First Nations communities and stuff come by.
Oh, geez.
So this is it. Yeah, well, no, exactly, right? And so, I mean, it doesn't help that, like, I'm almost scraping my head off the ceiling here when I walk through, but yeah, this is the basement.
And this is where the girls stay.
This is usually where the girl hangs out.
Oh, man.
And she's been around for a while. The story goes that one of our summer students a couple of years ago was down here trying to find a prop for a show or something. And she saw the girl down the hallway. She was like looking out and like holding something in her arm. And so she texted our boss, Haley.
Yeah.
And she was like, Haley, like, oh my goodness, like I just saw this like little girl ghost down in the basement. And Haley was out for dinner with a really good friend of hers who's also really close to the theater. Mm-hmm. And so she went like, oh my goodness, like our summer student just saw this ghost. And her friend goes, oh, was that the girl with the baby doll?
So
And so Haley like texts back and she's like, was it the ghost with the baby doll? And the summer student was like, yeah, that's exactly what, like, and so it's just one of those things where it's like,
it's just known around here.
it's just known. It's just one of our resident spooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can kind of see what I mean about like the vibe.
Yeah.
It's
totally
like
different down here.
right.
What was that?
So I like to kind of make sure that I got all the lights on.
Before
I'm making a lot of noise.
Yeah, really.
You know, announce myself. This is our scene workshop.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of where all of like the like scenery and stuff for the shows kind of lives.
Yeah.
But if you want to get a shot down here, we have a coffin.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's just a prop.
Yeah.
But like, you know.
Still adds that spook factor.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it still opens too and everything. And
Yeah, a buddy of mine, there was a play on, probably about 10 years ago now. It was a Halloween show, and he played Dracula in it, so he had to live in that coffin
Really?
for like the first half hour of the show before he like sprang out and scared everybody.
yeah. So are you locking up by yourself tonight? Or?
No, I've got a coworker here.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, I'm good. And then, yeah, just a little props room. Sometimes Santa really gives me the creeps if I walk in here and I forget that he's in here. I'm just like, whoa. Usually it's a lot creepier in here, but all of our Halloween decorations are upstairs. So.
True,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of...
It's crazy energy, man. Like I don't know what it is. you
Yeah.
know?
Heavy.
It's that's such a good way to put it. It's just like there's something going on.
Yeah.
And like my skeptical scientific mind, I'm like, I have no explanation.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, so...
So it turns out we might actually be getting a tour of the town. Yeah, he's saying there's a lot of haunted history here. I'm gonna see if I can get some energy levels here. Maybe at George's chair. What are the odds?
Try it out.
Oh my god, it's already on too.
Was it? Let's see.
Captain George, are you here? That's crazy. It was actually just going off a moment ago. Yeah, there we go.
Basically one of the capital cities of the province. And then when people started building like metal ships instead of wooden ships, it kind of took a downturn, and then they kind of recovered, and then it just sort of kind of went. And so there's a lot of like history in the DNA of the place.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of like there's a lot of ghosts in a lot of different senses, right? Next Saturday for Halloween.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, it's already that soon, eh?
Right? It's
Yeah,
like a
really.
week.
Well, that place is cool.
Yeah,
So this actually, I can talk a little bit about this.
Okay.
This was a general store back in the day, and it's now sort of a museum-ish, but like by appointment. You
Okay.
have to like know the woman who owns it, kind of thing. But there's a couple of cool things in there. I actually was lucky enough to go in there, and she's got a boot that was on the Franklin expedition. If you know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like, there was this boat in the Arctic that had this boot on it, and then somehow this guy from Georgetown ended up going to try to find it. And then he traded with one of the local fishermen up there. The fisherman gave him the boot, and he brought it back here.
Yeah.
And so like there's this weird connection between Georgetown and the Franklin expedition, one of these like monumental points of Canadian history that's pretty cool. And there's also this piece of World War II artillery, like a shell from this like artillery cannon, and it's just like sitting at the desk in there. And apparently one time this like dude came to like look at the museum and stuff, and he was like, oh, I'm actually like a World War II artillery expert.
Oh wow.
So he like picked it up and was like twisting it and like knocking on it and like listening to it and stuff. He's like, okay, that's still live, so I'm just gonna put that back down and nobody's gonna touch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's in there?
It's in.
Oh my god.
I think we probably want to get moving there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I've got a bit of a story about the place behind me here, actually, this beige place. I'm not going to use any names to protect the innocent, but this is a first-hand account that came from one of the King's Playhouse extended family. And he and his buddy, when they were 11, were looking for something to do. And this was his grandparents' house back in the day. He knew that his grandparents had a habit of, when they left for the summer, they would leave some snacks out or lying around or whatever, or they would maybe leave some spare change loose just kind of at the house. And so him and his buddy were looking for something to do, and like, how do I put it delicately? They broke into his grandparents' house to try to find out what they could find or whatever, right? And yeah, so they were like rifling around, and it wasn't like they broke in, like he probably had the key or whatever, but still. And so they were like finding some snacks, finding some loose change. And then his buddy was like walking through the front room, and up the stairs to the second floor, there was a guy standing at on the landing. And he, again, sort of similar to Captain George, he was wearing like old clothes and had a bit of a cap on and a big bushy beard. It looked like, kind of like a train conductor. And he was pale, wasn't saying anything, he was just staring at this kid, and the kid freaks out, right? So he grabs his friend and they run outside, never speak of it again.
Oh wow.
Till about like 20 years later, the guy who told us this story and his mother are packing the house up because his grandmother has just passed away, and they're looking through old photo albums, and he sees a picture of the guy on the stairs.
No.
In the photo album. And he's never seen him before, but he looks exactly the same as he did on that day like 20 years ago or whatever.
Really?
And so he's like, he turns pale, like completely loses all the blood in his face, and he just like goes to his mom. He's like, "Mom, who is this guy?" And she's like, "It's weird, it's your great-grandfather." And he's like, "I saw him like 20 years ago." She's like, "That's not possible, like he's been dead for whatever, right, like 80 years or something." And he's just like, no, I saw him. And then anyway, so he named one of his kid's middle name is George, just like his great-grandfather's name was, because he doesn't want any trouble, right? He wants to make amends for whatever happened.
Yeah.
But as a special treat for your viewers, I actually happen to have that photograph.
No way.
And the dude is circled there in red next to the horse.
Oh wow.
So that's
what we saw.
That's great-grandpa George right there.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So that's that house right there. So it's
Oh
just
my
another
gosh.
one of these weird kind of unexplainable happenstances. We'll end off at the courthouse for one of the most famous kind of chilling stories
Oh, good.
of PEI history. So I'm going to read this one because I want to get it right.
Okay.
So here we are at the Kings County Courthouse, still in use today. They kind of hold trials twice or three times a week. You can usually tell when they're in town because the bailiffs are down at the corner store getting a cheeseburger and stuff. So there's been a ton of trials held over here. I'm sure that a lot of people out there have heard stories of riots and other grim prosecutions here, but I want to tell you about Minnie McGee. It's been over 100 years, but her story is one of the most important that there is to be told. So Minnie McGee, or Mary Cassidy as she was also known, was a poor married woman from a rural Irish background. She lived on the St. Peter's Road in a tiny home with 6 children and her husband Patrick. Patrick often worked distances away, and it took a toll on Minnie. It was said that over time, Minnie began to isolate herself and withdraw from the world around her. Others heard rumors that her husband often beat her when he would return home, and in general, though she begged for him to stay, their marriage was troublesome. In the winter of 1912, 2 of their children suddenly died of pneumonia. And then the following April, 5 of the 6 remaining children died.
Oh, wow.
Their heads, chests, and stomachs pained them. They were reported to have been incredibly pale, with bluish lips, and to have been vomiting. Under suspicion, authorities sent tissue samples to Montreal in hopes of figuring more out. They sent the remaining child, Johnny, to live with his uncle. However, Johnny remained with his mother for 2 more days. When his uncle arrived, he found Johnny was ill, and Johnny died 2 days later.
Whoa.
An autopsy was performed, and it was concluded that Johnny had been poisoned with something called phosphorus. Minnie stood trial for the murder of Johnny and her other children. People traveled from all over the island to witness this event, and kids would skip in the park right over there. And as the trial drug on, and they would chant as they would skip, "Minnie McGee, Minnie McGee, she tried to poison her family by putting matches in their tea."
What?
Eventually,
Wow.
the judge found her guilty. As McGee was awaiting sentencing, she signed 2 confessions. One in which she admitted that Johnny had been at his grandfather's while the other children had become ill. The second, that she had brewed the concoction of tea laced with matchsticks and given it to her children to drink. So she would stir the tea with the matchsticks and it would poison it.
Wow.
Ruthless.
She was sentenced to hang. McGee pleaded for her life. Community leaders like church pastors and people like that, they petitioned the court for leniency. The Supreme Court commuted the death sentence under the premise of mental illness, and instead, she was sentenced to prison in Dorchester Penitentiary.
Dorchester, no way.
No way.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Little connection there for you. So 4 months later, from the feedback of those around her, she was transferred to Falconwood in Charlottetown, a mental health recovery center. In the ledger that documented the patient's diagnosis, like mania, depression, that sort of thing, under her name was only written, she poisoned her family.
Whoa.
McGee ended up staying for the most of the rest of her life in that facility. So the trial of Minnie McGee was one of the very first in Canada that successfully used the mental illness defense.
Oh, wow.
And it happened right here
That's huge.
in Georgetown. So there you go.
That's pretty
That's
big,
a
actually.
crazy story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been like plays written about it, like people are like talking about it. It's like the trial of Minnie McGee is like a big deal. When I used to do the tour for this, I would stop here and I would say, I'm going to tell you the story of Minnie McGee, and everyone would go, yeah, or like, woohoo, or like people love the Minnie McGee story.
Wow.
So,
I mean, that's
amazing.
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah,
no,
like,
I'm
we
happy
honestly
to do
really
it.
appreciate
that's,
it.
You know, that's what I live for, so it's
Yeah.
good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. More than just a brick building.
Yeah, honestly. But like walking by it, you would never expected that huge story.
That's what I'm saying. Like in the East Coast, there's like so many of these hidden stories, right?
Yeah.
That you kind of have to dig around for people to tell you.
Minnie McGee was her name, right?
Minnie McGee, yeah.
Okay.
Big shouts out to Ben. He did take the time to tour us out. He is an actor actually here at the King's Playhouse, but I'll leave his stuff down below. I think he may have Instagram, but we'll have to message him for it. Very interesting though, with the captain and all that. And yeah, maybe comment down below if you've ever visited Georgetown, Prince Edward Island, because that's where we are right now. Very historic, actually. You know what was weird though?
What?
When he was talking about the pains in the kid's stomach, I got a pain in my stomach. I actually did feel a pain in my stomach, which was
I
weird.
mean, you are an empath, so that is understandable,
Yeah.
right?
This girl's making a TikTok right now.
What?
You getting some good shots?
Yeah. Trying to get some videos for TikTok.
So yeah, with all that being said, big shouts out to Ben. I am going to probably send him a donation. He took the time to kind of, you know, do this. He even walked us around the town,
Yeah.
which is very unheard of. Not a lot of people do that. Well, big shouts out to you, man, if you're watching this. Maybe comment down below if any of you guys have ever, you know, came to Georgetown before. It's a very historic and, you know, laid back, quiet environment in town. Whoa, look at this. I think this was the park right here. Cause check this out. I think you got the playhouse in the back, and that was the church that's now abandoned.
Oh, you're right. That is the church that's abandoned now.
So that's right here exactly.
The church is right
Because the
there.
church is like right there, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys can see this, but the church, like this church, is right there, and it's completely abandoned. I mean, nobody uses it, right?
No, they're hoping to kind of reuse it for like storage or something. Kind of rebuild it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
It would be a nice photo though.
It would be like the colors and stuff.
Like just the abandonedness and
I know. Should we go take a photo?
behemoth of a church.
I'm sure it was beautiful back in the day.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Still is beautiful now. In the back window, there's still like when we drove by it the other way, there's still a huge thing of stained glass.
Is there?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
I know. It doesn't look accessible though.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice for exterior shots. Alright, MENDZ family, I think this is the end of this vlog. It's been a long day. And big shout out to this guy for actually taking the time to tour us out, even throughout the town, to read up on this haunted stuff. And, you know, all the stories he told are actually really cool.
Yeah, they were really
They're
cool.
also very hidden, and you kind of would never know
Yeah.
unless you dig around, right? So, I don't know about you, but I actually felt heavy.
Oh yeah,
in that
especially in the
place.
basement and stuff. Even like
Yeah.
everywhere in it was very heavy. The basement was where I felt the most energy, but you were saying you felt the most energy upstairs near the dressing room.
Yeah, the second floor where like all the
the
dresses
dressing
were, and that floor was like crazy to me.
Yeah.
I would like to kind of go back if we ever do get the chance to
Investigate it.
investigate that spot. I would love to go back up on there
We can plan something.
and
I'll get in contact and try to see what I can do.
Anyways, guys, we're gonna go for now. Thanks again for tuning into this video. If you guys do want to get to know us a little better, we do have social media and a main channel. So if you guys do want to get to know us a little better and see what else we've done, go and follow us down below. We both love you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.